Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Rama. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna, Sunil Prabhuji, Supan Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev.
And Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Sapan Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
नहीं मम्मा ने बोले कौन में नहाने के लिए
चावी चावी बहुत कर रहे हैं
ऐसे
कुछ लगी हुई है
बाबा
We'll start with Mangala Chanda prayer. Okay, yeah.
ऐसे बुक में
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksharanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukhaṁ karoti vācālam pangum langāyate girim yatkrupatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dīnatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishram Om Apavitra Pavitro Asarvavasam Gatopiva Yasmaret Pundari Kaksham Sabhyabhyantaram Suchihi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. So I just sent a message to other devotees also. Okay, let them join whenever they can. So let us begin anyway. Let me share. So we are reading from Krishna Consciousness, this matchless gift by Srila Prabhupada. So we are at chapter 5, learning steadiness in Krishna consciousness. One of the beautiful and important chapter, learning steadiness in Krishna consciousness. So start, yeah, Sunil Prabhu, please start.
छोटे छोटे पेंजो
अभी नहीं थोड़ी देर
बना दूंगा
Okay. Yeah, learning steadiness in Krishna consciousness. When one reaches the topmost position of material opulence, the tendency for renunciation is natural. There are two tendencies in this material world: bhoga, sense enjoyment, and tyaga, renunciation of this material world. Without guidance, however, one does not know how to renounce. First of all, one wants to enjoy, and when he is frustrated in enjoyment, he renounces. Again, when he is tired of renunciation, he enjoys. Like a clock pendulum which swings from side to side, we are thus all vacillating from the platform of enjoyment to the platform of renunciation and back again. Karmis, fruity workers, try to enjoy this world and reap the fruits of it. Consequently, they are constantly traveling on expressways all day and night to engage in material enjoyment. On the other hand, there are others, predominantly the discontented youth, who don't want any part of this. Thus, the world contains those engaged in bhoga and those engaged in tyag. However, we will not be happy by following either of these paths because it is not our proper position to either enjoy or renounce. Since everything belongs to Krishna and nothing belongs to anyone else, whatever we possess is actually Krishna's property. Ishvasyasam idam sarvam. Since we have not produced the trees, plants, waters, or the land, we cannot claim them. Since we actually have nothing, we can renounce nothing. Or it is said, naked we came into this world and naked we go out. In the interim, we falsely claim, this is my country, this is my home, this is my life, these are my children, this is my property, this is my bank balance, etc. Such claims are false because when we come into the world, we come in empty handed, and when we go out empty handed. What then is the meaning of bhoga and tyaga? In the light of the actual facts, they have no actual meaning. Bhoga is thievery, and tyaga, renunciation of what never belonged to us, is a form of lunacy.
Continue, Prabhu. Yeah.
In this regard, Krishna gives us this direction, Sarva Dharman Paritajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Varja, 10.66. Although we have created different types of religion based on Bhoga and Tyaga, we are thus advised to give up all of them and to surrender unto Krishna. It is not within our power to enjoy or to renounce. When renunciation is recommended in Bhagavad Gita, it refers to renunciation of everything that we falsely claim to possess. A child may take $100 bill from his father and try to keep it, although he may not know how to use it. The father may beg the child, dear boy, kindly give it to me. The child does not know that the money actually belongs to the father, nor does he know that he had best hand, um, nor, nor does he know that he had best hand it to his father, for he simply does not know how to use it. Similarly, Krishna says, renounce your work for me, renounce your wealth and property for me. Krishna is not a beggar, for everything belongs to him, but he does treat us like a small children. Compliance to his request to give everything to him is called tyaga, renunciation, and is one of the means by which one can attain elevation to Krishna consciousness. Austerity, celibacy, equanimity, and charity are all required for realization of the ultimate or absolute truth. Krishna consciousness is not concerned with the relative truth, but with the absolute. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva offers his obeisance to the supreme absolute truth, Satyam Param Dhimahi. He offers his respects not to the relative categorical truths, but to the Samam Bonam, the absolute truth. It is the duty of Brahmanas to practice those qualities by which the absolute truth can be realized.
Nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada. Bhoga, Tyaga, how do we? So everything belongs to Krishna. We are falsely claim. We all know that concept. I mean, everything belongs to Krishna. We falsely claim that this is my country, this is my wife, this is my children. Right? This is everything. If we think about that way. So what he is saying, what Prabhupada is saying, renounce your wealth and property for me. Similarly, Krishna says, renounce your work for me, renounce your wealth for me, renounce your wealth and property for me. Krishna is not a beggar, for everything belongs to him. He does treat us like small children. Compliance to his request to give everything to him is called tyaga, renunciation. Is one of the means by which one can attain elevation to Krishna consciousness. Using it for Krishna's pleasure. I mean, that's what it is, everything using for the pleasure of Krishna. That's where Krishna-centered activities. Keeping Krishna in the center and perform all of our occupational, professional, family, and spiritual duties. Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva offers his obeisances to Supreme Absolute Truth, Satyam Param Dhimahi. He offers the respects not to the relative categorical truths, but to the Sammam Bonam Satyam Param Dhimahi. He is the Absolute Truth. He is the Supreme Personality of God. Everything comes from him. And he is the cause of all causes. And he is the Adi Purusha, the Supreme Being, and he created everything, material, spiritual worlds. And everything is in his creation. We are part and parcel of his creation. So it is meant to use it for his pleasure. It is meant to use it for his service. Problem with why a living entity continuously rotting in this cycle of birth and death in the material world, because sense of proprietorship. This is mine. This is mine. Body is mine, and everything related to body is permanent. This enjoyment is permanent like that. Material world, that's the reason we are not acknowledging, or we are not addressing all the resources come from Krishna. That is the problem with material world and materialistic way of life. So Krishna conscious helps us to understand the seriousness of spiritual life and who to acknowledge, and from that what we are going to get when we acknowledge it. So this is so nicely written, pretty straightforward paragraphs, Srila Prabhupada. So let us continue. Sapan Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Brahmanas must be qualified by practicing cleanliness, truthfulness, control of the mind and the senses, simplicity, and by cultivating faith in Vedas and particularly in Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna says, I am the Supreme Lord, we have to accept him with faith, not foolishly, but with full knowledge, and practically apply this acceptance in our daily life. A Brahmana is not created by birth, but by education, practice, and knowledge. It is not a question of birth, but quality, as pointed out by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvarnyam mayastram guna karma vibhagasaha. Can you scroll down, probably?
Yes, Prabhu.
Tasya kartaram abhimam vidyakartaram avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature, the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society, were created by me. And although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Bhagavad Gita 4.30. One must not only have the qualities of a Brahmana, but one should also work as a Brahmana, for one's qualities are tested by his work. If one is a qualified engineer, but simply sits down at home and does not work, what is his value? Similarly, unless one works as a Brahmana, there is no value to his simply saying, I am a Brahmana. One must therefore work as a Brahmana by fully engaging in the service of Parabrahma Krishna, the Supreme Brahman. How can service to the absolute truth be executed? Yamena niyamena cha. The practice of yoga or linking with the Supreme is based on the principles of regulation and control. Regulation cannot be executed without control. Therefore, one must be thoughtful and purify himself. If one wants to pass an examination, he has to go to school, follow the principles of the school, and take some pains in his study, and then gradually he comes out to be successful. If he plays all day on the street, how can he expect success? Therefore, in the process of being explained by Sukadeva Goswami, the first necessity is tapasya, austerity. Even if austerity and brahmacharya are painful because we want to be unrestricted as soon as we are regulated, what appeared to be painful in practice is not painful. There are two classes of men, those who are sober, dhira, and those who are extravagant, adhira. When one, in spite of provocation or in spite of presence of a source of mental agitation, can remain steady in his position, he is called dhira. An example of a dhira is given by Kalidasa Pandita, a great Sanskrit poet who wrote a book called Kumara Sambhava, wherein he has given an example concerning Lord Shiva. It appears that when the demigods were fighting the demons and were being defeated, they decided that they could be saved by a commander-in-chief born from the semina of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, however, was in meditation, and to acquire the needed semina was very difficult. Therefore, they sent Parvati, a young girl who appeared before the Lord Shiva and worshipped his genitals. Although this young girl sat before Lord Shiva and touched his genitals, Lord Shiva was studying his meditation. Kalidasa says here is an example of Dhira, for despite a young girl touching his genitals, he was undisturbed. Similarly, someone sent a young prostitute to disturb Haridas Thakura, and upon hearing her appeals for intercourse, Haridas Thakura said, "Yes, your proposal is very nice. Please sit down and let me finish my chanting, and then we shall enjoy." Morning came and the prostitute became impatient, but Haridasa Thakur replied, "I'm very sorry, I could not finish my chanting. Come tonight again." The prostitute came for 3 nights, and on the 3rd night she fell down at his feet, confessed her intentions, and pleaded with him. "I was induced to perform this by a man who is your enemy. Kindly excuse me." Haridas Thakura then replied, "I know all about that, but I allowed you to come here for 3 days so that you can be converted and become a devotee. Now take these chanting beads and go on chanting. I am leaving this place." Here is another example of Dhira, who has control of his body, Deha, and words, Vak, and intelligence, Buddhi. One's body, words, and intelligence should be controlled by one who is Dhira and who actually knows the principles of religion. We have been continuously committing sinful activities since time immemorial, and we do not know when this began. But this life is meant for rectification of all the mistakes that we have committed. If one sets fire to unwanted grass and creepers in a field, they will all be burnt. Similarly, by the process of austerity and penance, one can liquidate all sinful activities and become purified. But Sukadeva Goswami suggests an alternative process. Kechit Kevalya Bhaktya Vasudeva Parayana Agam Dunvanti Katsyena Niharam Iva Bhaskara. Generally, if one leads an austere and pious life of celibacy, equanimity, charity, etc., people will say that he is very pious man. But simply by becoming Krishna conscious, one can kill all resultant action of his past sinful life. A fog disappears as soon as the sun rises, and Krishna rises with brilliance of 1,000 suns. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Kechit kevalya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agam dhunvanti karstyena niharam iva bhaskara. What is saying? But Sukadeva Goswami suggests an alternative process. This is one of the important prayer from Bhagavatam. By the process of austerity and penance, one can liquidate all sinful activities and become purified. Sukadeva suggests an alternative process. Kechit kevalya bhaktya vasudeva parayana. That means perform bhakti to Vasudeva. Agam dhunvanti karstyena niharam iva bhaskara. So, if one leads an austere and a pious life of equanimity, charity, people will say that he is very pious man. Simply by becoming Krishna consciousness.
I should show with man. Man said to show. Man is giving stories like Shreya, Manvi, Loka.
Okay. So that is the thing. The meaning of this verse is the meaning of this verse, for example, here people will say that he is very pious man, but simply by becoming Krishna consciousness, one can kill all the resultant actions of his past sinful life. A fog disappears as soon as the sun rises, and Krishna rises with the brilliance of thousands of suns. So whenever we Kevalya Bhaktya perform devotional service, it eradicates and it burns all the sinful reactions. That means that's a beautiful verse by Krishna himself. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. You just have to surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami master. When we take up the Bhakti Yoga, all of our sins are going to be taken away. So let us continue. I see Venala Mataji. Thank you very much for joining. Please read from this paragraph.
This process is accepted only by someone who is very fortunate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore said, Rupa Brahmanda Brahmita Kona Bragivana Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Bija. By the grace of Krishna and spiritual master, a fortunate person after wandering throughout the universe in different species of life, receives the seed of pure devotional service. Krishna consciousness is meant for the very fortunate. For simply by accepting this process, a person can surpass all the duties of austerity, renunciation, celibacy, etc. Sukha Goswami declares, Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya. One who is extremely fortunate takes to the process of pure devotional service. Kevala Bhakti refers to pure unalloyed devotional service in which there is no desire but to serve please Krishna. One should not render devotional service just to increase his income. We want money to become happy, but if we take to Krishna consciousness, automatically we will become happy, so happy that we will neglect money. Money will automatically come. Happiness will come. There is no need to endeavor for these things separately. It was Dhruva Maharaja who lamented, how foolish I was that I took to devotional service with a desire for material profit. Ordinarily for material profit, one goes to his boss or some rich man or demigod, but a devotee does not go anywhere but to Krishna, even if he has material desires. If one goes to Krishna, even for material advantages, the day will come when he forgets his material desires, just like Dhruva Maharaja. He was repentant and said, I came to Krishna and asked for something material, just like one who has pleased a very rich man and who asks him for a few grains of rice. If a rich man agrees to give us whatever we want, but we ask him only for a few grains of rice, is that very intelligent? Asking Krishna for material benefit is exactly like this. One need not ask Krishna extraneously for material happiness. For material happiness will automatically roll before his very feet pleading, please take me, Hare Krishna.
This also you can read.
Okay. Those who are practicing Krishna consciousness are not in need of the material opulences. Wife, children, happiness, food, for all this is acquired automatically by grace of Krishna. There is no need to ask Krishna for this material thing, but one should simply request him, please engage me in your service. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also promises that if one engages in his service, he will supply what is needed and preserve whatever is already possessed. One of his final instructions to Arjuna indicates total dependence on him. Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upasritya matchitta satatam bhava. In all activities and for their results, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Bhagavad Gita 18.57. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This chapter also done. Thank you, Mataji. So nice verse. Actually, 2 verses. One more verse also there here. From
Brahmanda Brahmitakun.
Yeah.
The starting.
Yes, Mataji. Yei Rupa. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavana Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. A proper guru we have to approach. When we approach a proper guru, we get the spiritual knowledge authentic way. Because he's representation of the Supreme Lord, there is no need to change or add his own thoughts or interpretations or concocted versions. Just as it is. That's why Prabhupada intentionally put the book, Bhagavad Gita. There are hundreds of versions. But he intentionally put that as it is. No change. Just directly come from Krishna. Those teachings are always as it is presented. So that's the thing. So in this chapter, a few things. Kevalya Bhaktya Vasudeva Parayana. This important words from Bhagavatam. Brahmanda Bravite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva. Then this one. Chetasya. Chetasa Sarva Karmani Mai Sanyasya Matpara Buddhi Yogam Upashritya Machitta Sadatam Bhava. Chapter itself talks about steadiness. Learning steadiness in Krishna consciousness. So we just have to We just have to utilize our intelligence. Not only intelligence, utilize everything. Our man, our tan. Man means mind, our tan means a body. Man, tan, prana, our spirit, existence, and dhan, whatever we accumulate in the service of Lord. And always think about Krishna, never forgets. How can we think? How can we think always? Because it is possible. Prabhupada has shown us a great example how he spent in his Krishna consciousness. Only just 2 hours of sleep. He is not saying that we also are to do the same. No, we have to take nice rest, 6 to 6 hours. 6 hours. Everything, whatever activities, always think about Krishna and perform these various duties. So learning, how do we get the learning steadiness in Krishna consciousness? By keeping always our mind, manasa, vacha, karmana, always put all the thoughts in those three. Manasa, vacha, karmana. That's where, we can get that steadiness. Unless we put into practice, it won't be able to possible. So all the activities redirects to Krishna. That's where it ended with this verse. In all activities and for their result, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. That means conscious about me and work. That's the thing. So this is done. Now let us start another chapter, transcending designations and problems. So I see Pallavi Mataji, Sirisha Mataji. Okay, Pallavi Mataji, you start this chapter. Please.
Okay, Prabhuji. Transcending designations and problems. Krishna consciousness is easily achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, but only some are fortunate enough to have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and his disciplic succession. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chadwala Prabhuji, మీరు చదువుతారా?
మనుష్యానాం సహస్రేషు కశ్చిద్ యతతి సిద్ధయే యతతామపి సిద్ధానాం కశ్చిన్మాం వేతి తత్వత. You also do.
మనుష్యానాం సహస్రేషు కశ్చిత్ యతతి సిద్ధయే యతతాం ఆపి సిద్ధానాం కశ్చిన్ మాం వేతి తత్వతః. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. God realization is not possible for animals or for persons who are almost animals, or for animals in the shape of human beings. Contemporary civilization is by and large an assembly of animals because, as stated before, it operates on the basis of the animal propensities. The birds and bees arise early in the morning and busy themselves trying to find food and sex and trying to defend themselves. At night, they look for shelter, and in the morning, they fly to a tree to find nuts and fruits. Similarly, in New York City, great hordes of people travel from one island to another by ferryboat or wait for subways. Next page, Prabhuji. Wait for subways in order to go to the office for the purpose of finding food. How is this an advancement over animal life? Although the ferry and subway are always crowded and many people have to travel 40 or 50 miles for bread, the birds are free to fly from one tree to another. Real civilization is not concerned simply with man's animal needs, but with enabling man to understand his relationship with God, the Supreme Father. One may learn about his relationship with God by any process, through Christianity, through the Vedic literatures, or through the Quran. But in any case, it must be learned. The purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement is not to make Christians into Hindus or Hindus into Christians, but to inform everyone that the duty of a human being is to understand his relationship with God. One must learn this, otherwise he is simply wasting his time by engaging in animalistic propensities. We must all try to love Krishna or God. If one has a process, he should practice it, or he can come and learn this process. One should not begrudge the selection of one process over another. Vishadapi amritam grahiyam amedhyayad api kanchanam nishchit apyuttamam vidyam stri ratnam dhuskulad api. Chanakya Pandita Niti Darpana. Yeah.
Chanakya
Niti
Niti.
Darpana. Chanakya Pandita says that one must catch what is right from any source. If there is a glass of poison with some nectar in it, he says one should take out the nectar and leave the poison. In the same way, if one finds gold in a filthy place, he should take it. Similarly, although according to the Vedic system of education, one must be given instruction by intellectual persons like Brahmanas. If someone lower on the social scale has learned the truth, one should accept him as a teacher and learn from him. One should not think that just because one is lowly born, he should not be accepted as a teacher. Similarly, if one is serious about understanding God, he should not think, I'm Christian, I'm Hindu, or I'm Muslim. If one is serious about understanding love of God, he should consider which process is practical. One should not think, why should I follow Hindu or Vedic scriptures? The purpose of following the Vedic scriptures is to develop love of God. When students come to America for a higher education, they do not consider the fact that the teachers may be American, German, or of other nationalities. If one wants a higher education, he simply comes and takes it. Similarly, if there is an effective process for understanding and approaching God, like this Krishna consciousness process, one should take it. Not all, but those who are intelligent and fortunate take to this process of devotional service, Kaivalya Bhaktya, and their one
Kevalaya Bhaktya.
Kevalaya Bhaktya, and their only desire is to serve Krishna. From early morning till late at night, the devotees are engaged in Krishna's service. This is called Kevalaya, pure. For them, there is no other business. This process is recommended for all, and it is the perfection of all religious processes. So, via
Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshaje.
okay.
You can do Savai pumsan paro dharmo
Savai pumsan paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshaje. In Sanskrit, there are two words, para and apara, which describe the superior, transcendental, and the inferior, material approaches to religion. In the execution of material dharma, our religion performed for material gain, people generally go to a church or a temple and pray, God, give us our daily bread. Actually, this need not be asked for bread is already provided for everyone. Even the birds and bees get their bread without having to go to church to ask God for it. Similarly, our bread is also provided, whether we go to church or not. That is not a problem, for no one is dying in the streets of starvation, nor do we find a bird, beast, or even an ant dying of starvation. Food is there, and one need not bother about it. If the brain should be taxed, it should be taxed for Krishna or God. This is the proper utilization of time. There is no scarcity of bread in the kingdom of God. Shadwala Prabhuji, aapanta.
Okay, ma. Thank you for reading.
Hare Krishna.
So, right. Thank you. Kevalaya Bhaktya, again, what is that Kevalaya Bhaktya? It's addressed to Savai Pumsam Paro Dharma. Yeto Bhakti Rathokshaje. Number of verses talks about Bhakti. Number of verses from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So when we perform Bhakti Yoga, it addresses all. Actually, Krishna is going to take care of all of them. What is the religious, what is the purpose of religion is to understand our relationship with Krishna and love him. That is what is Vedic scriptures. The purpose of following the Vedic scriptures is to develop love of God, right? When students come to America for higher education, they do not consider the fact that the teachers may be American, German. Or if he wants a higher education, he simply comes and takes it. Similarly, if there is an effective process for understanding and approaching God, like this Krishna conscious process, one should take it. So that's the thing. So this one, Chanakya Niti, what he's saying, take it good from, see, Chanakya Pandita says that one must catch what is right from any source. That means we have to learn from boy also, from a 5-year-old boy also. Take good things from anybody, anywhere. One of the Chanakya Niti Prabhupada quotes, I mean, sometimes he quotes from Chanakya Niti. So that's the thing. So what Vedic literatures are teaching us? To establish our relationship and love the Supreme Person. So, see, other religion, one may learn about his relationship with God by any process, through Christianity, through Vedic literatures, or through Quran. But in any case, it must be learned. The purpose of this Krishna conscious movement is not to make Christians into Hindus or Hindus into Christians, but to inform everyone that the duty of a human being is to understand his relationship with the God. One must learn this. Otherwise, he is simply wasting his time by engaging in animalistic propensities. So, what is that animalistic propensities? Animals and humans are the same things. What are they? What are they? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's what it is. So, but human beings having the highest grade of intelligence, discrimination power. So then that is a thing. We have to understand. Prabhupada so nicely writes here, right? So we are not going to. You can practice in any religion. You can love God from any religion and establish relationship with that from that religion and understanding. Whether you Christian, Hindu, or Muslim, that's it. See, this is the proper words. You just have to understand. And we have a Durlava Manush Janu. Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yadati Siddhaye. Yadatamapi Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Veti Tatvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. There is one more verse. Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevam Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlava. So even though interested in devotion service, but complete understanding those kind of personalities are very rare. That's what the point is. So we have to understand Krishna fully, the absolute truth. What is the activities, what is expectations, what is going to look like, how can we please him. So we have to seriously try to understand him first, and with that understanding knowledge, we have to serve and love him. That's the thing. Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevam Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlava. So how can we know? How can we do that? By doing this. Kevalaya Bhaktya Savai Pumsan Paro Dharma. That's the thing. He is going to fulfill all the daily bread. I mean, these Christians are praying for, please, he writes, God, give us our daily bread. Actually, this need not to be asked for. For bread is already provided for everyone, even the birds, beasts, etc. Right? Similarly, our bread is also provided, whether we go to church or not. That is not a problem. For no one is dying in the streets of starvation, nor do we find a bird, beast, or even an ant dying for starvation. Food is there, and one need not bother about it. That's the thing. If the brain should be taxed, it should be taxed for Krishna or God. This is the proper utilization of time. There is no scarcity of bread in the kingdom of God. That's the thing. Yes, let us continue from here. I think Sirisha Mataji, you are there. Sirisha Mataji, Hare Krishna. You want to read? Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, anyway. Sapan Prabhu, again you start. Tasyava Hetu, it's another beautiful prayer.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Tasyeva hetu paryateta kovido na labhyate na brahmatam uparyada. Srimad Bhagavatam says that one should try to attain that which cannot be attained by traveling all over the universe. What is that? Kevalya Bhaktya, pure devotion. By God's arrangement, there is sufficient food, land, and prospects for food on this planet. But we have arranged things in such a way that one part of the world people are suffering, and in another part they are throwing grains in the ocean. The Vedas say, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. The Supreme Person is supplying food to many living entities. The difficulty in this material world is that we take more than we need and thus create our own problems. Problems are created by men led by so-called politicians. According to nature's way or God's way, everything is complete. According to Sri Ishopanishad, Om Purnamita Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Sisyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because of all these emanations from Him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself, because He is a complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from Him, He remains a complete balance. Sri Ishopanishad invocation: God is complete. His creation is complete. His arrangements are complete, but we are creating disturbances. Real education is that which makes people Krishna conscious so that they will properly utilize the resources of earth and stop creating disturbances. It is not possible to solve problems by passing resolution in the United Nations. One must know the actual method of solving problems. Sukadeva Goswami says that simply by pure devotional service one can solve the problems of life. But who can do this? It is not possible for an ordinary man, but for those who are Vasudeva Parayana, devoted to Lord Krishna. Vasudeva. Only those whose concern is to satisfy Krishna, who take to pure unalloyed devotional service, can solve the problems of life. Agam Duvanti, as explained, already explained, problems are created by sinful activities. Although there is enough food, everyone stocks more than what is needed in order to make a profit, or simply in order to hoard. In 1942 in India, there was an artificial famine created by people gathering money and stocking it unnecessarily. Wealthy men collected rice, which was selling at 6 rupees a pound, and suddenly within a week, the price rose to 50 rupees a pound. Consequently, no rice was available in the market, and people went hungry. An American gentleman present at that time remarked, if people in our country were starving in this way, there would have been a revolution. The people in India, however, are so trained and cultured that in spite of this artificial famine, they did not revolt but preferred to die peacefully. Of course, this is only one instance, but it shows how problems are created by God, or not created by God, but by man. In Germany during the First World War, the women went to church and prayed to God to send their husbands, sons, and brothers back safely, but none of them came back. All the women became atheists. They did not consider that God did not advocate the war and its problems. They went to Him for a solution. When we create our own problems, we have to suffer the results. It is a fact, however, that problems of one who takes to the shelter of God are solved. For this reason, if none other, one should apply his devotional service to Vasudeva. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. If one engages in devotional service to Vasudeva, he will receive the highest knowledge without delay. Jnanatya Asu Vairagyam. The words Jnana Vairagyam refers to that knowledge by which one becomes detached from material allurement. The word Jnana means knowledge and Vairagyam means detachment. Both knowledge and detachment are required in this human form of life. One should know I am spirit soul. I have nothing to do with this material world, but because I have a desire to enjoy it in different ways, I am transmigrating from one body to another. I do not know when this began, but it is still going on. This is real knowledge. To be knowledgeable, one must understand his constitutional position and realize how he is suffering in this material world. That perfection of knowledge comes when one becomes Vasudeva Parayana, devoted to Lord Vasudeva. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sravam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Bhagavad Gita 7.19. Stop, Prabhuji, or continue?
Continue. Yeah, he paragraph completely. Yeah.
Those great souls who know perfectly well that Krishna, Vasudeva, is the source of everything are very rare. It is easy to find so-called Mahatmas, great souls with long beards and mustaches, who tell everyone that they are one with God, and when they die, they will wake up and become God. But these are not really Mahatmas. Rather, they are Duratma, hard-hearted, because they want to encroach on the rightful position of Krishna and become one with him. If there were a servant in the office who tried to occupy the position of employer, would the employer like it? Similarly, any living entity who is trying to become God is not very much to God's liking. Of course, no one can become God, but this endeavor to become God or his competitor is not very pleasing to him. Persons who try are described in Bhagavad Gita as Divastaha, envious. Continue, Prabhuji.
Yeah, he is slogan.
The Lord says, Tanaham Dvistaha Krunan Samsareshu Naradhaman
Naradhaman.
Naradhaman Sipami Ajashram Asubhan Asurisveva Yonishu. Envious, mischievous, the lowest of mankind, these two I ever put back into ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life. Bhagavad Gita 16.19. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. Let us see few points there. See, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita from Bhagavatam. If one engages in devotion service to Vasudeva, he will receive the highest knowledge without delay. Janayati Asu Vairagyam. Janayati Asu Vairagyam. The words Jnana Vairagyam refers to that knowledge by which one becomes detached from material allurement. See, where we place our knowledge, where we place our attachment matters. That's where, if we frequently says this statement, attached to Krishna, detached to materialistic way of life. Maya. So how can we attach to Krishna? Vasudeva Bhagavati. Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. That is the only method, actually. That's why Krishna consciousness is the matchless gift, which we all have. You just have to take it. Krishna has given this gift to understand, in the form of human life, to understand this knowledge. So, Agham Dhunvanti, sinful activities. Problems are created by sinful activities. So, Prabhupada quoted different examples in different countries, how that is, we have seen how he has quoted from different examples. These problems are created by man itself. Actually, in Krishna's creation, everything is properly arranged. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamyeva Vashishyate. Everything in his creation complete. Right? So only selfish politicians, administrators with the selfish motives, creating these different problems. Say, that's where he's quoted, Om Purnamadam. So God is complete, his creation is complete, and his arrangements are complete, but we are creating disturbances. Real education is that which makes people Krishna conscious so that they will properly utilize the resources of the earth and stop creating disturbances. How nicely he put that statement, see. But we are creating problems. Real education is that which makes people Krishna conscious, God conscious, so that they will properly utilize the resources of the earth and stop creating disturbances. It is not possible to solve problems by passing resolutions in the United States. One must know actual method of solving problems. As already explained, Aguna, that is the sinful act, Agham Dhunvanti. See, Ugra Karma. Ugra Karma is, what is that Ugra Karma? These politicians, they pass rules, different. The karma is cumulative. All it applicable for the citizens. That particular whoever rules, and that rule is not the ruler, the politician or whoever administer, president or whatever political position, whatever he has. So the selfish motives, whatever decisions he makes, is subjects, is objects. Like citizens also have to suffer. It's called Ugra Karma. That's why we need more Krishna conscious, enabled, or Krishna knowledgeable persons to rule the country or wherever, whatever, different places. So there was artificial. These are the problems quoted by Srila Prabhupada. I mean, he has seen in that time. So see, although there is enough food, everyone stocks more than is needed in order to make profit, or simply in order to hoard. Accumulation mode, that is the thing. In 1942, in India, there was an artificial famine created by people gathering money, stocking unnecessarily. Wealthy men collected rice, which was selling 6 rupees a pound. And suddenly, within a week, the price rose to 50 rupees a pound. No rice was available on the market. People went hungry. An American gentleman present at that time remarked, if people in our country were starving in this way, there would have been a revolution. The people of India, the people in India, however, are so trained, cultured, that in spite of this artificial famine, they did not revolt, but preferred to die peacefully. Of course, this is only one instance, but it shows how problems are not created by God, but by a man. In Germany also, he has quoted one example. In Germany, during the First World War, the women went to church and prayed to God and sent their husbands, sons and brothers back safely. But none of them came back. All are died. All of the women became atheists. They did not consider that God did not advocate the war and its problems. They went to him for a resolution. When we create our own problems, we have to suffer the results. Yeah, think in that way. All the problems, the rulers are not equipped with the proper knowledge. They have selfish motives and completely corrupted leaders. How can be peaceful? So that's why Ugra Karma is always there. In that way, so those kind of personalities and misleading us, kind of misleading. Krishna put them into lower species of life, demoniac species of life. Tanaham dvisitaha kruran samsareshu naradhaman kshipyami ajastram asubhan asriyeva yonishu. Envious, mischievous, the lowest of mankind. These do I ever put back into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. If that kind of leaders, they definitely, creating a bad karma. With that bad karma, Krishna is forced them to take birth in lower species of life, and they have to suffer. In Krishna's eyes, no one can be able to escape. Karma is like that. So these leaders are doing all the nonsensical things, which is not helpful for our ultimate understanding, or ultimate consciousness. Basically, these leaders, we can see, in our own life, different political leaders, from village to mandal, from mandal to town and corporation. Everywhere, all the political leaders are mostly 99% of these leaders are corrupted leaders. It's so much Ugra Karma is creating. But devotee won't worry about it. Devotee just worry about, even though is a part of in that particular administration or ruling, devotees are always worried about how to please Supreme Lord, how to get rid of all these various karmas, right? Sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masucha. Devotees' consciousness is how to serve Supreme Lord eternally, always 24 hours. We have in the material world, time is defined 24 hours, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, like that, always. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantasya drudavrata. Krishna himself says, what is their devotees' mood? Perpetually, these souls, perpetually, continuously, they serve Supreme Lord. That way, they escape from all these, different network of illusions and different rulers. They elevate themselves. That's the thing. That's the thing. So we just have to understand Krishna consciousness is the only best possible means to understand our existence and ultimately serve Supreme Lord in that consciousness, in that with that knowledge and with that devotion. So let us continue from here. Venala Mataji, can you please read?
They are put into hellish conditions because they are envious of God's position. First, they try to occupy high positions in this material world, and when they are frustrated in this attempt, they think, now I shall occupy the position of God. Of course, this desire is also frustrated because no one can become God. God is God and living entity is the living entity. God is supreme and infinite. We are infinitesimal. Our position is to serve God, and when we act according to our position, we become happy. By imitating God, happiness cannot be obtained. अस्यैक निस्वसित कलामथावलम्ब्य जीवन्ति लोम विजयास जगदण्डनाथ Brahma Samhita 5.48. There are innumerable universes, and within one breath of the Mahavishnu, these universes are inhaled and dissolved within his body. How can a living entity become God? God is not so cheap. Therefore, we must become advanced in knowledge and accept Vasudeva, Krishna as supreme. There is no question of Krishna being a man. There is at no stage in his appearance on earth did he appear as an ordinary living entity. Even as a baby, he performed miraculous feats way beyond the abilities of the ordinary living entity. One should not consider that when he is surrendering to Krishna, he is surrendering to an ordinary man, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indeed, that is confirmed by all Vedic literatures. Agham Dhanvanti. All reactions to sinful activities are cancelled when one surrenders to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself advises personal surrender unto him. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. Give up all varieties of religiousness and just surrender unto me, and in return I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. Therefore you have nothing to fear. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Therefore one who is a devotee, Vasudeva Parayana, and who simply engages in devotional service is immediately free from all sinful activities. Devotional service to Krishna or Krishna consciousness can never be attained by any amount of speculation, but by the causeless mercy of a pure devotee of Krishna. It is a matchless gift bestowed by Mahatma or great soul out of compassion for fallen living entities. It is said that by the grace of Krishna, one gets a guru or spiritual masters, and by the grace of spiritual master, one gets to Krishna. This is like the gift of sunrise. At night there is darkness, but in the morning, as soon as the sun rises, immediately millions of miles of darkness are removed. In the same way, if we try to make the sun of Krishna rise within our hearts, all of our problems will be solved. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So such a nice poetic expression. If we try to make the sun of Krishna rise within our hearts, all of our problems will be solved. Krishna Sama Surya. There is one verse, I forgot actually. Andhakara. Matchless gift is a matchless gift bestowed by the Mahatma, or great soul, out of compassion for fallen living entities. So many people prayed for us. I mean, out of that. Yeah, 1 second, I am getting one call. Yeah, hi Santosh. Bavanara. Yeah. So యాక్చువల్గా ఒక కాల్లో నేను మళ్ళీ చేయను సంతోష్, ఒక కాల్లో ఉన్నా, ఐ విల్ కాల్ యూ బ్యాక్ ఇన్ సమ్ టైమ్. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ సంతోష్. యా సారీ. So somebody prayed for us, why we come to the platform of devotional service. How we somebody prayed by the causeless mercy, but by the causeless, so we have to remember, these are the Prabhupada, but by the causeless mercy of a pure devotee of Krishna, it is a matchless gift bestowed by the Mahatma great soul out of compassion for falling living entities. See, we have to read from this. Devotional service to Krishna or Krishna consciousness can never be attained any amount of speculation, but by the causeless mercy of a pure devotee of Krishna. It is a matchless gift bestowed by the Mahatma, a great soul, out of compassion for fallen living entities. So that is the thing. It is said that by the grace of Krishna, one gets a guru or a spiritual master. And by the grace of the spiritual master, one gets Krishna. It's interrelated. This is like the gift of the sunrise. So that's the thing. See, we are understanding, we are sitting here, we are try to hear from the Prabhupada's purports, this ultimate knowledge, Vedic knowledge. See, what is the purpose of Vedic knowledge? We have to establish our relation, and once we establish that relation, connection with Krishna, we have to serve him with loving devotional service. It's called loving devotional service. That is the ultimate goal, right? Veda ishta sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavida evachaham. I am to be known, and I am the writer, I am the compiler. Krishna himself says, I am the writer, I am the compiler, and all have to be known. How can we know? So that's where we have to understand, we have to approach a proper spiritual master. Of course, we come to the platform of devotional service means a pure devotee prayed for us, that's where we are practicing. We always have to remember, we always have to be grateful how I came to Krishna consciousness, and prayerful mode. And that way we have matchless gift. Krishna consciousness is a matchless. There is no price, there is no value. There is no value means with this material we have some money, some goal, something to calculate, but there is no such a value. It's an invaluable thing. Krishna consciousness is invaluable thing. We are come to the platform of devotional service means a very fortunate thing. We just have to utilize our life and serving in this path of complete pure devotional service. So let us spend another 10 minutes and wrap up. Okay, another section also let us start. The matchless gift, liberation in Krishna. Actually, every topic is so good in this book, very nice. If you go to ISKCON temple, please take it, this book, and repeatedly read. So nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada to get the more confidence and more positive vibrations in our devotional life when we read this book. So nice. Actually, we have to give this gift to, think about this way. When you want to do birthday gift, along with whatever your birthday gift, give this book. My request is Krishna consciousness is a matchless gift. Actually, I got the idea from moving forward. Wherever third party, I'm planning to give this book as a gift. At least it's so nicely explained. Every Prabhupada touched all the different topics. Seventh one, the matchless gift, liberation in Krishna consciousness. Sunil Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu. If we simply worship the original person, Adi Purusham, we need not fear being misled by anyone. Sridhara Swami, the original commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, explains that one can reach the perfection of life simply by devotional service, Kevalya Bhaktya. One need not be dependent on any other process. Sukhdev Goswami says that one can put an end to material life by one stroke, Kevalya. There is No need to first undergo severe penance and austerity, practice celibacy, control the mind and the senses, give in charity, perform great sacrifices, and become very truthful and clean. Simply by one stroke, by accepting Krishna consciousness, one immediately rises to the highest position. By just taking to Krishna consciousness, one develops all transcendental qualifications. The goldsmith uses a small hammer and taps the gold many times, but the blacksmith uses a large hammer, and with one stroke, his job is finished. This is the blacksmith's method. We take the big hammer of Bhakti Yoga and finish all material life. There is no need to undergo the many lesser disciplines, nor to follow any other process. In actuality, there is no possibility of even following the other Vedic processes to perfection. For instance, the Hatha Yoga process would say you have to become a strict brahmachari and sit in the forest with your body at a right angle to the ground, pressing your nose with your finger for 6 months. Who could follow such an instruction? Since such a method is not practical in this present age, the goldsmith method has to be discarded. The solution is to take the blacksmith's hammer of Krishna consciousness and finish off all sinful reactions immediately. By devotional service.
Nicely given example.
Yeah, very nice. The example is very nice.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nice. The goldsmith uses a small hammer, tap gold many times, but blacksmith uses a large hammer, and with one stroke, his job is finished. Krishna consciousness blacksmith method. We take the big hammer of Bhakti Yoga and finish all material life. See, that way he attracted, these Westerners in the beginning. So nicely coming up these small books. Continue, Prabhu.
By devotional service, one has to become Vasudeva Parayana, a devotee of Lord Vasudeva or Lord Krishna. In other words, we have to learn how to become lovers of Vasudeva. If the world takes up this Krishna consciousness, the planet is certain to be peaceful. Now the earth is quickly becoming a hellish planet. And if this Krishna consciousness is not taken up, this hellish condition will progress despite all advances in education and economic development. Therefore, those who are thoughtful should take this movement very seriously and try to understand its value. It is not something manufactured by one man or a group of disciples. It is authoritative and age-old based on the Vedic literatures which date back thousands of years. Shall I continue? Neha Ram Eva Bhaskara. Bhaskara refers to the sun. The sun immediately dissipates mist or fog as well as darkness. As stated before, we should try to make the sun of Krishna rise within our hearts. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, also it is stated that Krishna is like the sun and that Maya, the illusory energy, is darkness. Yaha Krishna, taha nahi Mayara Adhikara. As soon as the sun of Krishna is present, the darkness of Maya immediately disappears. Without following this process, it is very difficult to overcome the ocean of darkness, Maya. If we simply teach people to surrender unto Krishna, God, all the fog and mist of illusion will disappear. The method is very simple. Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. Niharam Iva Bhaskara. Bhaskara refers to the sun. The sun immediately dissipates mist or fog as well as darkness. As stated before, we should try to make the sun of Krishna rise within our hearts. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, also, this is what I was looking. This one. It is stated that Krishna is like the sun and the Maya, the illusion energy, is darkness. Yaha Krishna taha nahi Mayara Adhikara. As soon as the sun of the Krishna is present, the darkness of Maya immediately disappears. Without following this process, it is very difficult to overcome the ocean of darkness, Maya. Maya means which is not. Maya means which is not. Which is not can be applicable for anything. This body is not. Whatever relationship with this body is not. Not with it. What is real? Real is the soul. Yaha Krishna taha nahi Maya Radhikara. Chaitanya Charitamrita. So nice. Yes, Prabhu. Pallavi Mataji, with you, another couple of paragraphs and we'll wrap up. Can you read?
Yeah, Prabhuji. The more one goes on chanting, the more the darkness of many lives is dissipated. Cheto darpana marjana marjanam. Cheto darpana marjanam. By chanting, one can cleanse the dust from the mirror of his mind and perceive things very distinctly. Thus, one will know what he is, what God is, what the world is, what our relationship with God in this world is, how to live in this world, and what our next life is. Such knowledge is not taught in schools, where one is taught how to manufacture or acquire products for sense gratification. There is always a hard struggle going on involving man's attempt to dominate material nature. However, for every convenience he manages to produce, there is an inconvenience accompanying it. For example, recently some engineers designed an airplane which can fly at great speeds without danger. When the plane flies, however, it breaks windows all over the city. Our time is thus being wasted in constructing so many devices which give us temporary and artificial convenience at the price of a proportionate amount of inconvenience. This is all part of the law of karma, the law of action and reaction. For whatever we do, there must be a reaction by which we become entangled. That is stated in Bhagavad Gita.
నేను చదువుతాను, మీరు ప్రాక్టీస్ మీరు ఒకసారి చేయమవుతుంది. నేను 2 times చేస్తాను, మీరు 3rd time చేయండి. ఓకే.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
One of the beautiful verse from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself saying this. This is all part of the law of karma. The law of action and reaction. For whatever we do, there must be a reaction by which we can become entangled. This is the important karma, how karma bandhana, right? Action, the law of action and reaction. For whatever we do, there must be a reaction by which we become entangled. This is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Yajñartat karmanonyatra loko yam karma bandhana tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. One more time, Jasanamata, you can do the next. Yajñartat karmanonyatra loko yam karma bandhana tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara.
Yagnartha karmano nyatara lokayam karmana bandhana tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sanghana samchara.
Yeah, read it.
Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. Bhagavad Gita 3.9. When one acts for sense gratification, work entangles him, whether the work be good or bad. But if one works for Krishna, Yagnarthat karmano, he will be free, regardless of the possible desirability of his work. Not only does Sukadeva Goswami recommend unalloyed devotional service, but he further says that by devotional service, one's sinful activities will be negated. Every one of us is more or less sinful, for if we were not sinful, we would not be being put into material bodies. As soon as one is free from sinful life, he is liberated and transferred to the spiritual world in a spiritual body. The whole process is to cleanse oneself from the contamination of sinful or material life.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah.
Sukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, those who are sinful can become purified from contamination by tapa atibihi, practicing austerity." Sukadeva also said, however, that no one can become completely purified by executing this process of austerity. There are many examples of yogis who practiced austerities but did not emerge completely pure. Vishwamitra Muni, for example, was a Kshatriya who wanted to become a Brahmana and therefore began to practice austerity. Later on, however, he became a victim of Menaka, a society girl of the heavenly planets. Because Vishwamitra was not pure, he became entangled with her and begot a child. Therefore, it is said that even if one performs austerities and penances, worldly circumstances are so implicating that somehow or other they will involve one again and again in the material modes of nature. There are many examples of sannyasis who give up the world, renouncing it as false, saying, "Let me turn to Brahman." But they again become entangled in the work of the world when they set up hospitals and perform philanthropic work and welfare activities. If the world is false, why are they attracted to welfare activities? The philosophy of Krishna consciousness maintains that this world is not false, but that it is temporary. God created this world and He is true. So, how can His creation be false? Because this is the creation of God and the God is the absolute truth, this creation is also true. We simply see it otherwise due to illusion. The world is a fact, but it is a temporary fact. A person may claim something within this world to be his property, but that is a false claim. It is a fact that it is someone's property, but it is God's property. Ishvashyam idam sarvam. This does not mean, however, that the property is false. What is false is a claim to the property, which is based upon a puffed up false consciousness that the individual is the proprietor, the master, or God. Everyone desires to be master or proprietor of something, then minister, then president, and then God. When everything else fails, the living entity wants to become God. The tendency is there to want to become the greatest of all. But the fact remains that God is the
Greatest.
and the living entity is small compared to him. The smallest is not false and the greatest is not false. But when the small thinks that he is great, that is false. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Actually, we can stop here. So this is the thing. So falsely claim, I am the master, I am the controller, I am the proprietor. Prabhupada writes that is a false claim. The smallest is not false and the greatest is not false. That means smallest is not, we are minute, that's minute particle of in our body, the spirit soul is a part and parcel of Krishna. The smallest is not false. That means the individual entity, living entity is true. And greatest, the super soul is true. But when the small things, the living entity, that I am the great, that's the propensity, false propensity, falsely claiming I am proprietor, enjoyer, and controller kind of thing. We have minutely having that proprietorship, controllership, and enjoymentship. Minutely we have that propensity, but not complete. So only Krishna is that he is great. But when the small things, that he is great, that is false. That's what Prabhupada meant to be. So nicely explained here also. How do we take up the...
Yeah, Prabhuji. The beauty of these books is like Prabhupada, he only questions as a third person and he answers it with good examples. The beauty is that when a grand questions, he takes up that questions and he only answers them.
Right. That way, it's a kind of conversation between two personalities. It's a kind of asking questions and giving answers from the Vedic literature. So that way, people get connected and then at least understand this knowledge and try to begin with the chanting and come to the platform of Bhakti Yoga. So he's a great Vaishnava Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So much effort he taken place on writing these books, so nicely explaining all these aspects of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, all the Vedic literatures. The beauty, another beauty I wanted to tell all of you, he quoted from different Puranas. Whenever any verse come from Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, in connection, that's where scrutinizingly Srila Prabhupada read all the literature and put the points this is said in this Purana, that is said in this Upanishad, this is said in the Bhagavatam, in connected to that particular, when he writes purports, the connected verses, so nicely to understand, that is a beauty. I love the way the presentation, Srila Prabhupada, in each of the verses and their connected verses and
And he
understandings.
connects to the present situation of the world, he connects everything to the real world situations, current situations. That is a great thing, I feel.
Yes, Mata, yes. And crude examples, analogies that can be relatable and easily understandable knowledge. Yes, that's great. I mean, presentation, Mata, Srila Prabhupada presentation, that way he attracted so many souls to practice in Bhakti Yoga. Now we are seeing that, since after Prabhupada left in 1977 November, till ISKCON is continuously growing because of the surrendering to the Srila Prabhupada lotus feet, those various gurus, and expanding the Krishna consciousness movement, right? So now we are seeing means how Prabhupada attracted through the teachings and how their seriousness. Now we are seeing different gurus in our ISKCON. 40 years of serving, 40 plus years, somebody 45 years, 50 years also, Srila Prabhupada. So how
we missed Harivilas, His Holiness Harivilas Maharaj. So in Province Prabhupada.
you all attended? Can you share?
So he is in Krishna consciousness for last 55 years.
See,
I think, and he is based in Seattle, and he runs 3 farmhouses and the temple.
Yeah.
And so and the kind of conviction, the faith that he has is really tremendous. Actually.
Yes, Prabhu. Because so these are all the great Vaishnavas, they are serving Srila Prabhupada. They surrendered to the Srila Prabhupada actually, a proper guru. Surrender to a guru means we see many examples. Harivilash Maharaj is the great exemplary leader in ISKCON. And he is leading Seattle community. Yes, farm community is there, temple also. So nice. Yeah, you are all.
He is a Krsna. So
yeah, that's correct. Yes, he's Grihastha. Yes. Yeah, that's where path is there. We just have to take up the seriousness in the path, and that's it. It's a way of life. Krishna consciousness is 1 year. Different methods there. I mean, performing different worship like Ayyappa, Swami Puja, Anjaneya Swami Puja, 41 days, 50 days. No, Krishna consciousness is a way of life. Every day we have to chant. Every day we have to follow 4 regulative principles. Every day we have to read, listen. It's a way of life. Krishna conscious lifestyle. Krishna lifestyle, this lifestyle is going to help us to take up the permanent lifestyle in Golok Vrindavan. We don't need to take any sufferings again. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. That way we have to work every day. We have to perform this devotional service every day without fail. That way we are eligible to go back to God. Otherwise there is no question. That's why we have to come regularly, read, hear. If possible, we have to present, we have to attract, we have to give this knowledge to people. All right. So that's the thing. Krishna, ISKCON is not for only temple worship. ISKCON is for everything. Temple worship there, prasadam distribution there, ultimately preaching is there. Knowledge distribution through books, through various presentations, college preaching, school preaching, prison preaching, corporate preaching. Basically, it's a preaching to give this knowledge, to distribute this knowledge. Through that knowledge, all other activities will be nicely organized. Temple worship, prasadam distribution, kitchen, seva, many services actually in the ISKCON. So everything related to Krishna only. That way, our consciousness filled with Krishna conscious activities, and then we perform various Krishna conscious activities. That way, there is no question of bondage. That's where no karmic bandhana, akarmic activities, no karma. So let us continue from this paragraph on Wednesday. Okay. So thank you so much for your presence. With all of your presence, I got the seriousness to understand. Some more earlier I read, but this is the sequence. Every other day we are doing in the weekdays. Thank you so much for your time spending with Srila Prabhupada small book reading. Srila Prabhupada is very, very, very happy for all of us. Oh, right, these devotees are reading and understanding, practicing. Is blissful. Why he has given these books? To help us to firm faith, fixed in firm faith in Krishna, and serve and practice devotional life nicely. Okay, so thank you so much, Sunil Prabhu, Sapan Prabhu, Pallavi Mataji, Sirisha Mataji, Vanilla Mataji. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyavacham patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaur Hari Premanande. Hari Hari. See you all on Wednesday evening. Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.